bit of fun. Now I want to talk to you about rugby because obviously you've got a pretty incredible story. So you touched on it there. You didn't start off at Harrow School, but Harrow School is where rugby kind of became a bit more prominent in your life. How did you end up at Harrow School?
Yeah, so I was playing for Richmond, which was my home club, and I played in a game like I can't remember what under 11s or whatever it was, under 12s and 13s game. And
chaos on the pitch, no structure.
Yeah,
grab the ball and run,
scoring tries and having fun. And a man approached my old man. He was from another boarding school. He was from Stowe, and he was very nice. And he said, we'd like to offer your son a scholarship at Stowe or something like that. And my dad said, no, too far away. So he said, but he was very nice about it. He said, that's absolutely fine, but would you be willing for me to send his name out to other schools, maybe closer? Because, I think he's got something and blah, blah, blah. At the time, I was part of the WASSUP's EPDG, the Elite Player Development Group, at a young age. And, at that point, you love your rugby and you want to do it, but, you don't quite understand. Obviously, we can come on to this, but you don't quite understand, the situation where I was in. Probably rugby wasn't going to be a realistic thing for me, where I was going to school, where I was living. So a couple of days later, I got an email from Jesse Coulson, who was head of sport at Harrow at the time, who asked me to come round, have a look round. I did so. It wasn't quite as easy as kind of just getting a scholarship. I had to go to a trial day, which had like 100 different athletes from around the world there, in different sports. And obviously, you could be the best rugby player there, but there might be an unbelievable pole vaulter, and they might just offer him the scholarship instead. So, you had to train out yourself that day and do your best. And so I went there and did the trial day, and I was offered a scholarship for rugby and athletics. And obviously I had to make the decision, and I made the decision in the car with my mum and dad, and they parked up just going there's a massive hill that goes up to Harrow School, because it's they call it Harrow on the Hill. And they parked up on the side of the road. They both that thing you see when you're in a movie where you put both parents look back at you in the back seat. And they went, so do you want to do this? And this whole place was alien to me. I loved the place I went to school. I went to Twickenham Academy. I loved it there. I had all my friends there, which was, at the time, it went from being a school called Witton to Twickenham Academy. Had a bit of a tough time with Ofsted, and it wasn't this kind of school you go to become a professional rugby player. Right. That place, you went to Harrow and had 18 rugby pitches and an 18-hole golf course, and a state-of-the-art performance gym just for scholarship athletes. Pretty incredible. You know what I mean? So they looked around at me and they said, so do you want to do this? By the way, you'll be living away from home for a month on end, And I said, yeah, I want to do it. Kind of mum bottom lip started to shake, and she just turned back round and
praying you were going to say no. My boy's
hoping I said no, I don't want to do it. And I kind of did it the fatherly, yes, son, good. I drove down, and that was it. And then I was at Harrow. I was at Harrow for 5 years. And it is probably the most incredible 5 years of my life. I've had obviously unbelievable experiences since. I've travelled the world through my time at the 7's. But you look back, obviously, at the time when you're a miserable 17, 18-year-old and you think boarding school's a prison, you don't quite understand how lucky I was to go there, to have the connections that you do now for going there, and also the opportunities it gave me to become, to fulfill a dream of mine, was to be a professional rugby player. So, I really enjoyed my time there.
Oh, mate. So you've segued nicely for me. You're doing my job for me, which makes it really easy. Tell me how you got picked up by England 7's, because I remember you've told me this story off camera before, and it was some sort of festival of 7's or something. You were 18, 19?
Yeah. So I was at WASSUP still. And
is this when you were in the WASSUP Academy?
Yes, I was in the WASSUP Academy, and I was released from the WASSUP Academy. I had a shoulder injury. I didn't play, and it all, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where, for me, you kind of, and from what people were telling me, they were telling me, I think you're going to get a contract at WASSUP, you should be fine. You've got enough credit in the bank, and it didn't quite work out. So it was a bit, the walls crumbled down on top of me, and it was a bit of a shocking moment for me. So, but after that kind of conversation, went straight down to the pitch, and we started training for sevens, and we had an unbelievable year that year in terms of the Harrow School Sevens team. We had me, we had Sean Raffel at Saracens, Andy Christie at Saracens, Elliot Batiimbo at Saracens. We had Will Glover, who's another English, was an English sevens player with me. We had an unbelievable team. So we went around and we did do very well. We won the Marshall Sevens, which is a huge sevens tournament nationally with schools. We beat Sherborne College, who are one of the best schools in the country for rugby. We smashed them 45-5 or something in the final. So we were really doing well, and I don't think we lost the tournament. Going into the Roslyn Park Sevens, which is what you said, which is the biggest. I think it's the biggest festival of rugby in the world at school level. So you've got schools from other countries coming just to compete in this sevens tournament. I can't even explain it.
When you say schools, do you mean what's the one? Is it Paul Roos in South Africa?
They're all there. They're all there. You've got schools from Llanelli and Wales, all the big colleagues are the massive feeder to Llanelli Scarlets. All these boys who are all ready to go to professional rugby, who being tutored to be professional rugby. All there. You've got schools from around the country in England. Everyone's there. It is massive. It's 2 days long. It's I can even tell you how many kids at 18, 17, 18, all from all age groups. It is a huge thing, and it's a massive window of opportunity. Obviously, at the time, I wasn't signed anywhere, and I actually thought I was going to university, and that's probably why I enjoyed my rugby so much. I was making a bit of a wave throughout the sevens circuit through playing for school, and playing that tournament, and my team got to the final. And I scored 18 tries over 2 days, something like that. And
you said that's such a humble way. I scored. Wasn't quite 20, but it was very close to 20.
yeah. So I scored a few, and I scored 2 in the final. And just before the final, so we played Millfield in the semi-final, which obviously everyone knows Millfield, unbelievable school. We beat them. Which is not if we played them at 15s, I don't know if we would. So we had just a great sevens team. So, and I was rolling out on the dead ball area, and Simon Amor came up to me, who was head of England Sevens at the time, and he came up to me in the way that he does, and he kind of went, "Oh, you all right, mate?" I went, "Yeah, I'm not too bad." He went, "You're Callum Sirker, I'm Simon Amor, nice to meet you." I said, "Nice to meet you." And he obviously,
I know who you are.
Full England tracksuit on, and said, "How do you feel about coming to trial out the sevens? Come to a trial day?" And I said, "Yeah, I really like that." He went, "Cool, we'll contact you." I went, "Okay." And then just before the final, and I thought, well, I've got to do all right in the final. So I managed to score 2 tries in the final, but we unfortunately lost against Cranley, who are an unbelievable team. And I had a lot of friends at Cranley as well, so it was a tough pill to take, tough pill to swallow.
The phone was lighting up after that? Was it just?
Yeah,
exactly. Today, mate.
Exactly. And boys that aren't even playing in the sevens, just lads that I know that go to Cranley, and the boys and girls that I know go to Cranley just text me going unlucky. And but then luckily we had a chance to play them again at the replay, because obviously it's such a big tournament. By getting to the final, you have the privilege of playing at Twickenham in the replay at the London Sevens.
That's cool.
So we went there, and everyone's family's there, school kids are there. Cranley bought their whole school basically to watch the game. And we were at the tunnel, and I remember I had loads of mates, and they were just screaming down "Callum, you're shit, you're going to be rubbish today," like that. Yeah, and you're just smiling at them, and we pumped them 45-5 in the replay.
And I must have felt so good.
It felt so good, but we looked around each other. Why couldn't we have done this in the final and just won the trophy? We looked around, so annoying. We just, I can't remember how many tries I scored in that. I think it was 2 or 3. But it was a great day, and Simon Amor was there to watch, and even the lads that I was soon to become my colleagues at England Sevens just finished their last game, so they actually stood on the side of the pitch and watched the game. So they knew they obviously knew who the lads who were like, they knew me and Will Glover were going to be coming to the England 7, so they wanted to get a look at us. And luckily, we both, played pretty well. So it was a good little advert. And from there, I've spent 2 years at the 7's. And I absolutely loved my time there. Travelled the world, went to places I probably have never gone to unless I played for the 7's. So I really enjoyed my time there.
Amazing. Talking about you're doing a great job here. I might just send you my notes on the thing because you're doing it well. Before we talk about England 7's, what was it like in the England regionals, like not regional setups, but like England's age grades? Because you're very modest that you were just playing school level, but you're actually doing a bit for England age grades and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I played England 16s. I got 2 caps for England 16s. Played Scotland and Wales, and then I went to.
Were they home or away? England, Wales, and Scotland.
So Scotland was at home. We were at home.
Oh, you missed out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we played them, and we beat Scotland, and I scored 2 in that game. And then we played Wales away at Neath.
Yeah.
And tough place to go. And the story I remember from that is that we came out of the tunnel and we got up, line up to sing the anthem, and someone came on the tannoy and said, we're having trouble with the speaker system at the moment, and unfortunately the England team, they're going to have to sing the national anthem a cappella. So we did. So we sang a cappella like terribly, and then like we finished our singing, thinking like the Welsh team were gonna have to sing a cappella as well. And then all of a sudden, how coincidentally and conveniently, the tannoy speaker worked again, so they got to sing it all.
That's so good.
Yeah, and all the England fans.
That's mind games there.
Exactly. You see all the England fans going, "Oh, there we go." Obviously, how convenient. So. That's just typical English Welsh rivalry, isn't it? So, I did that, and we won that game. And then I went to a couple of 17s and 18s camp. Unfortunately, I got injured with a shoulder injury, which took me out for my kind of 18s year. Mm-hmm. And then I was lucky enough through the 7's, England 7's, I got told kind of while I was in a tournament in Poland that I'd been selected I'd be called up to the 20s World Cup in Georgia. So I went to the 20s World Cup in Georgia, and I didn't play, but it was a great experience to be there and to give my first taste of 15s again after 2 years out, with some boys that I knew growing up, obviously. And really cool. I was there as kind of like injury covering to help out, and I worked hard, tried my best, and we got to the final as a team, and unfortunately lost to an unbelievable New Zealand side who were pretty sensational. Obviously got some boys now in the All Blacks, so pretty cool experience. And then after that, I was straight back into the 7's and another year.
Yeah, there's no shame in losing to New Zealand at rugby. I don't think anybody's going to judge you for that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So. When you were talking about age grade and then representative there, so you were talking about getting selected and called up. I remember we were talking about this before because we had quite a similar experience. So I never got to your level, but I got to regional level. So we had like south of Scotland, Caledonia, places like that. And I remember we were discussing this. Did you have it where, so you say when you were doing like a training week before they announced the squad and you have like the select, so you have like your 40-man squad before they go down to the 25. Did you have it where they would just like you were just all in a room and they just list out names? Like how did yours go?
Yeah. So I remember it got a bit more advanced when you got older in the age group. Obviously, like 70s, 80s, and like when I went to the 20s World Cup, you obviously got like very like you got told you've been called up to the England 20s World Cup. You got put in a private room and taken. But for some reason, at England under 16 level, when I played that, like it's such a formative moment. Like when people think they're going to make it, they're not going to make it. Mm-hmm. We were all in divisions, so I was in London and South East of England, and you had like Midlands, North, and South West. And obviously, so on the day of selection, London and South East would go into their room, Midlands would go into their room, and so on and so forth. And basically, the coach would stand up at the front of the room, and he'd name all the lads from the southeast of England, London, southeast of England, that had been selected for the England under 16s. So he'd list out the names, and quite a few boys from London southeast that got selected, which was you had me, David Otoye, Nick Osekwe, Ben Earl.
That's an impressive squad you're with right there, just with those names alone.
Yeah, to name a few. So there's a few. I'm probably Ruben Bird-Tulloch. There's a number of boys, a number of really good players. So we all got selected. I'm trying to think if I forgot anyone. If I have, I have. And
they'll let you know when they see it on the podcast. They'll be like, mate, how could you forget me?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be that bothered, like, you know, if I called them out in England on a 16 meeting. But I remember that. We all got called, like, we named, and like boys, we're standing out and like boys are clapping, but you can see lads that are like crying, like, and clapping, and you're like, this is so brutal. Like, there's definitely a better way this can be done. So, like, standing up and then facing the room. Yeah, so you're facing these young 15, 16-year-old lads whose dreams have just been, well, they think they've just been shattered to a million pieces. And you're stood up there giving the thumbs up to everyone, like, oh, this is amazing.
I feel great.
Yeah, and these lads just crying their eyes out, and you're like, this is horrible. Like, why am I standing here? And then the coach goes, and obviously, like, if you'd like to, like, get up and congratulate the boys that have been selected. And these lads are coming up to you, and they're just tears in their eyes, and they're just shaking your hand, and you don't know what to do. And I just thought, with hindsight, you look back at it, you think that is the most brutal moment ever. Like,
that's humbling from a very young age. That is very humbling.
Yeah, well, like a lot of lads that didn't make it, and they always said this. You know, a lot of lads didn't make it at 16. Well, are professional rugby players now, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, being good at being the best player in the world at 16 doesn't give you, you know, just so everyone knows, doesn't mean you're going to be a professional rugby player when you're older. There's so many different reasons why you become one, and different pathways, and you know. It's a late maturation sport, so you could, you know, be there or thereabouts at 16 and, you know, come into your own at 18 or 20 or 21 after uni. So, you know, at the time, obviously, these young lads think their dreams are shattered, but then again, you think when you get to, you know, on the shoe on the other foot, you think you're going to be the next England star when you play England 16. So, and some boys were, you know, but you got Pennell and boys like that who are doing unbelievably well at the moment, but. Yeah, it was a pretty brutal moment. It's quite a funny story. Like, you can laugh at it now, but at the time, you're like, "Wow."
I couldn't imagine that, just having to stand at all the people going, because the way my brain would look at it is if I was watching names get picked out, going, "Okay, well, there's definitely one less spot than there was one name ago now." So they've got my spot as far as I'm concerned until I'm up there with them. Yeah,
and you've got loads of other divisions calling their names out, and you're thinking how many Southeast players got picked, and it was all mental, man. It's a crazy time. Crazy time.
I'd be panicking, like, especially, like, I suppose it's different for me and you, because we both played back row, so there's a bit of utility. Or I played back row and you played winger, so there's a bit of utility where you can move.
Yeah.
But, like, people for, like, specialist positions, like the 10s must be going, so if 3 have got picked from here already, and I know there's 6 other rooms with people getting picked that have good 10s in it.
Well, an example of someone who didn't get picked from the under 16s, Ben Curry. So Tom Curry got picked. I played with Tom Curry. And Ben Curry didn't. Look at Ben Curry now. I mean, he's just got his first England cap. So, you know,
really, you're doing well whenever you can keep South Africans out of a back row in Sale as well to play. So
exactly, mate. So I mean, it was a great achievement. I really enjoyed my time. But you know, when you start to get to kind of England 20s, and that's when you start getting selected. That's when things become a little bit more real. But yeah,
I remember. I'll tell you. So I remember I used to work in a hotel just near my house. And we actually housed the England under-20s once. They were like when they were playing in Six Nations up here, and I remember I was like serving them like their breakfast because I was working at the buffet, so I was like part-time staff. And then I think I was talking. I don't think it was Maro. It might have been Joel or somebody like that. Joel Caputo. I don't want to butcher his name. We're so bad in rural Scotland for names, but especially my accent, it doesn't help. Like I could say it perfectly, but it sounds wrong. But yeah, he was there, and he was like, he must have been at least like 1.5 feet taller than me. And it's like, you know, when you have that realization of why you didn't become a professional rugby player.
Yeah, you're talking about Joel Capoco, aren't you?
Yes, sorry, the one from Saracens, yeah.
He's I played him recently. I didn't play him that long ago. He's a mammoth, and he's huge. He's like this just huge man. Yeah.
It's like you were watching him, and he was like, oh, I'm having like a light breakfast day, and he was like chewing through bacon and sausages, getting the protein in and eggs, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm a professional rugby player, and I see people like that, and I think maybe this isn't the job for me. But
yeah, but you can run past them. I was just stood there. Like,
yeah.
You can sidestep them.
You've got to hope they don't have the ball and you're directly in front of them. But yeah.
Now just become like the human speed bump. Just throw yourself at the ankles and just hope for the best.
That's exactly what I do. That's exactly
tin hat on. Tin hat on.
Tin hat on. Exactly.
Right, right. I know you've got some great stories about England Sevens, so we're going to talk about England Sevens, because who was your very famous roommate that you got given on one of your first trips?
Yeah, so I had Dan Norton I played in the Hong Kong 10s, which is a pretty famous tournament in Hong Kong, and after that tournament, I was called up to the main team, England Sevens,
yeah. For context, how old were you at this point?
18.
Exactly. So imagine being 18, finally old enough to drink, and somebody goes, by the way, you're going on an all expenses paid world tour.
yeah, it's that 18, 19, 18. And maybe just turned 19. And they said, oh, you've been selected for your 13th man at Hong Kong. I said, amazing. And they said, oh, you're rooming with Dan Norton. I went, oh. Because obviously, at the time, Dan, obviously, unbelievable player, unbelievable try scorer. But at the time, he's your mortal enemy because you're trying to get him out of the team. And obviously, me and Dan had some pretty tasty training sessions, and I was trying to learn off him, but also take his head off at the same time because obviously I wanted to play. So, difficult times. And Dan, I think many people would like his nickname Dean. Would think thinks he gets charged at night. He comes in with so much energy. And and I had to room with him. I got into the room, and he basically said to me, "I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want to see you move." and I was like, "Okay, cool." I just started laying in bed,
Thank you, Mr. Norton. Sorry, Mr. Norton.
And I literally it was such different ends of the spectrum because I was 18, 19. Obviously, I was 13th man. And I was thinking, I just played in the 10s and we got to the final. It was a great time. I'm thinking, it's quite funny because, at that age, I'm thinking, amazing. I've been picked for, as 13th man in England. But the likelihood I get on, probably not. Because you're travelling reserve for that tournament. And you're thinking, I've just missed a night out on the piss with the lads that I just played with.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, and I'm trying to think, what do I do after? Or what? I need to get myself in right shape for the tournament. Then when the tournament finishes, where can I go out? Whereas Dan Norton was on FaceTime to his family and his little one and talking about, kitchen developments and stuff. And I'm thinking how do I even dress myself in the morning? I don't even know what I'm doing.
Do we have to wear stash all the time? Or
yeah, exactly. So it's different ends of the spectrum. I was a single bloke at the time, so I was loving life. So completely different.
Your phone just had that one smudge that kept going in the same direction.
Yeah. So just different.
That's the most rugby thing we'll say on this chat. I promise we don't always talk like that.
Yeah. So completely different in the spectrum, but you learn a lot from him. And I say a lot about Norts and our relationship, but when I was there, but he's a great bloke. He's done a lot for England Sevens, and he's an unbelievable player. And I learned a lot from him. And the way he beats a man is ridiculous. And he's getting on now, mine. But
he still looked all right the other week playing rugby.
Yeah, tell you what, that's what annoys me. It's you nearly 500 Norts. Give it up. Do you know what I mean? Just but yeah, he's an unbelievable player. I've not spoken to him in a very long time, but I used to do this thing even when I left Sevens. I've not seen him for 6 months. I just send him an Uber split on my phone every time I want a night out. So I just send him split fare with Dan Norton, and he'd text me 6 in the morning. He'd piss off, go away, please. And I just every time, and I would not reply. I just read it, and then 2 weeks later, I'd go out again. I'd just split the Uber with him again, hoping to split it. But he never would. But it was funny.
I bet that was the least funny thing he's ever thought. And then you and your friends, you say, that's the funniest bit of banter you can have.
Oh yeah, I was just but I never told him. I was just it's just one of those things. I was just split. But it just came with an option. Do you want to split? I was split. I just hoped for the next. I was hoping one day, just went, yeah, why not? I'm feeling generous today.
One day you save £8 on a fare.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate, I think it'd be one of those things like we were saying earlier, like you don't realize how beneficial it was at the time, but then like you see in like 4 years' time, you look back and going, having Norris as a roommate really, really helped.
Oh, massively. And then like, you know, I just followed him around really, just like followed him around like a bad smell around to meetings and stuff. And obviously, it's kind of the same as like any tour. You're responsible for your roommate. So like, if he was late, I was late, and if I was late, he was. Do you know what I mean? So he made sure that I was on time. I was never late for anything. I was probably more on top of things in terms of timings than he was. He was very relaxed. You know what I mean? Kind of relaxed. North, you know, did what he wanted. Top try scorer in the world.
I'm Dan fucking Norton. That's how I ended up.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was kind of standing at the door with like 25 minutes till the meeting, which was only a 2-minute walk down the road, down the corridor. I was like, "No, we've got to go," and he's like, "Can you just relax, please?"
Still in bed, just like me.
Yeah, literally, like he'd probably get up about 30 seconds before we had to be there, and I was like, "Oh, I need to be there right now."
Mate, bless him. In fairness, he's probably got more air miles than most people have had hot dinners. That man, to be fair.
Mate, I mean, I dread to think how many times he's been on a plane, how many times he's had to travel. He's probably the most unbelievable like traveller. Even when he goes on holiday, he's probably got like this bag that rolls out and it's got like everything you need on it, like basically like James Bond, like it's got everything it needs. And,
yeah, it's like one of those dashboards in the car. You just put it down and just has the exact button that helps him in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just for a time, for my 2 years there, I got very good at traveling. Like I got very good at like having the right amount of clothes for the right amount of days and like rolling it up perfectly so it fitted. You know, you just get really good at that stuff. Or then like buying like the small shampoos instead of, you know what I mean? So
yeah, the travel stuff. Yeah,
and then you get really good on planes and like know what to press for certain things, and then like you know where everything is at Heathrow because you've been there so many times.
I'd hate that. The novelty of duty free must wear off quite fast.
Massively. But you never stops getting family members peppering you for when you come home for like duty free stuff, and you're like, don't really want to. You get like you pay the whole.
Your mate's asking you to get like the 100 Marlboro fags for like 20.
Exactly, yeah. And you're so sore and battered, and you've probably been on the night out, and then you've got straight on a plane, so you're hungover, sore, and some bloke's asking you to look round duty free and get loads of stuff. You're like, please leave me alone, but. It is what you got to do. It's the small things. You've got prices you have to pay to.
That's world, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate, right. We're going to talk now. We obviously